Hi everyone, today we're going to be going through an analysis of the Senate race over in Iowa. This is the Joni Ernst race where you have the Republican incumbent Joni Ernst, who is trying to keep her seat against strong Democratic opposition in the state. So we're just kind of in the middle of this series right now. We're in Iowa, then we'll go to Kentucky, then we'll be in Alabama, then Georgia, then Michigan, then New Hampshire, then North Carolina, and then the state of Maine. Hopefully I did not miss anyone there. But yeah, we're going to be doing an analysis of the Iowa Senate race based on a lot of information that is available to us. So we're going to be finding out which of these candidates might take on the incumbent Joni Ernst in this seat. We're going to be looking at Morning Consult Senator approval ratings, which has just come out. They're very recent. We're also going to be looking at her previous run for Senate back in 2014. We're going to be looking at Trump's net approval in the state of Iowa. Also going to be looking at Joni Ernst's fundraising and also the challenger who might in fact take on Senator Ernst in this race. So, firstly, she needs to find a Democratic challenger. So, out of the current declared candidates right now, the presumed frontrunner is Teresa Greenfield, the candidate for the U.S. representative in Iowa's 3rd congressional district in 2018. Other potential high-profile candidates include Abby Finkenauer and also J.D. Skulton. Those are other potential high-profile candidates. A very high-profile candidate in Cindy Axt and Tom Vilsack, who was the former governor, and former U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, decided not to run. So they're out of the question. In my mind, Cindy Axner was the most, I guess, the most ideal candidates for the Democrats, the strongest candidate for the Democrats. And so today we're going to be finding out who a potential challenger is, and then we're going to be taking a look at some polling that is being conducted. We're also going to take a look at the Morning Consult approval rating, her previous election, Trump's approval, and the fundraising. So, as for her Democratic opponent, Teresa Greenfield is the frontrunner as of right now. If we look at some people's statements, this is source 3, along with source 10 for Finkenauer. But Teresa Greenfield does seem like a relatively strong candidate. However, when you take a look at the polling that has been conducted so far, polling with Teresa Greenfield, you have Senator Joni Ernst well in front at 56%. With a 22% lead over the Democratic opponent in Teresa Greenfield. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ernst does. However, when you look at polling with Ernst compared to a generic Democrat, it's much closer, with the public policy polling having Ernst at 48% compared to the generic Democrat, who's at 44%. So just a 4-point gap there, one that's definitely able to make up. I think this poll is just a bit skewed because it is, Teresa Greenfield obviously doesn't have statewide name recognition, so in comparison to Joni Ernst, so it's going to be interesting. So overall, the polling, not great news for the Democrats, but a lot of things can change. We're very far out. Polling is not always necessarily accurate. So let's take a look at the sortable table. This is the all of the senators' approval ratings, and this is a great resource, and so I'm very glad that Morning Consult does in fact decide to publish these polls. They're very helpful in my analysis of these Senate races. Right now, Joni Ernst's approval rating is at 42%. Her disapproval rating is at 38%. That means her net approval rating is above water by 4%. If you go here, I believe, no, she's not. She was actually quite close to being on the most unpopular senators list. I think she just missed out on that. But it's going to be interesting to see how Ernst does. The overall her approval rating, not all that great. She'll probably just survive, but it's hard to see her winning in a blowout fashion for Joni Ernst. Okay, now moving on to her 2014 Senate race. You got Joni Ernst, the Republican, then you've got Bruce Braley, the Democrat. She obviously won, that's why she's in the Senate right now. 52.1% of the vote compared to Braley, who has 43.8% of that vote. In the polling that has been conducted for that last race, here we go. You could see in the beginning, the Democrat here was consistently ahead until about July, and then when you got into August, it started to get tighter, but then, you did have some areas where the Democrat was doing quite well, but then from September, it was not looking too good for the Democrat. And then it kind of continued that way. It was close, but the Republican there in Joni Ernst normally had the lead narrowly. So it's going to be interesting to see those different things. Okay, so that's the 2014 Senate race results. Now, and so good news for Ernst. She's shown she can win in the past. Now, Trump's approval, though, is underwater by 12 points. That is not good at all. That means that Iowans, they, if we go, oh no, they don't have the actual, I see, okay. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't actually have that, so, yeah. Okay, I thought it had a place where you could see the different, here it is. This is what I was looking for. In Iowa, look at this. We started off January 1, 2017. Trump was above water, 49% to 40%. But then when we got into May, we started to see Trump go underwater. He did quite well in the February one. He was almost at a tie there. But then since kind of April, he's just been on a really not great news in Iowa. Look at this. Since Trump took office, his net approval in Iowa, has decreased by 22 percentage points. That's not good. And you can even see this chart. Look at Iowa right now, 9, and then you can see it kind of going a bit darker, and it's kind of remained that way. So not looking too good for Trump right now. Okay, as for her so right now, it's really hard to tell who might win this race. However, this is what puts me over the line to potentially, potentially looking at Joni Ernst, because look at this fundraising. It says, this is an article from the Gazette. Cedar Rapids, U.S. Senator Joni Ernst has another strong fundraising quarter, taking in more than $1 million during that second quarter. Joni for Iowa, I guess that's the thing, their campaign, raised $1.1 million in the second quarter to give her nearly $3.4 million cash on hand, and for more than a year before the election. Although her fundraising for the second quarter was less than the first, the campaign manager said she's got strong stuff behind her campaign. Okay, now let's look at the other one, Teresa Greenfield. Des Moines, Iowa, by the Associated Press. Iowa Democrat Teresa Greenfield has raised more than $625,000 for her campaign against Joni Ernst in less than a month since launching her bid. Touting that 85% of her contributions were $100 or less, and that she's received contributions from 96 out of the 99 counties in Iowa. She has received endorsements from national and local Democratic groups. So it's at first it seems not great, but then when you actually look at it, it doesn't seem too good for Iowa's Joni Ernst. But then if you look, she has $3.4 million cash on hand already, and so it's going to be interesting to see how the Democrats do that. So, final verdict. right now we see, in fact, Senator Joni Ernst narrowly, very, very narrowly though, very narrowly going down to defeat to the Democrat, in this case, Teresa Greenfield. I believe it would be very narrow. Yes, she did win her last election, but that was in a blue wave year. The Democrat there wasn't very compelling. Her approval rating is not good. Trump's approval rating is very bad. And in an era where people do associate Republicans and Trump very closely, it doesn't look very good for Joni Ernst as of right now, and the Democratic challenger has already done that. Okay, so that's it for today's video, guys. So we see this one moving into the tilt Democratic column, very narrowly moving into the Democrats. We believe it would be very close, but at the end of the day, we don't think it's enough to get Senator Ernst over the line. So next up, in 2 days' time, we'll have the state of Kentucky, where we have a very interesting race going on between Amy McGrath and Mitch McConnell. Amy McGrath did not have a great first week, but I'll leave the rest of my analysis to that video. Then we're going to go to Alabama with Senator Jones. Then we're going to go to Georgia with David Perdue. Then we're going to go up to Michigan with the Democratic incumbent with Gary Peters. Then we're going to go up to New Hampshire, then North Carolina, and then Maine. And just a quick note on Maine, this new morning consult polling, look at that. Suzanne Collins used to be one of the most popular senators in the country, is now underwater and is the second most unpopular senator in the country. That puts her in the top 99%, only the top 99% of approval ratings compared to her fellow colleagues as senator. That is, and that could be the end for Suzanne Collins. But I'm gonna leave it to my main video, and yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope everyone is having a great day. Cheers, fun election predictions.